Yeah, this is the key question. And one element of it is, as the design team or design systems team, it's like, don't go at it alone. It's impossible to effectively scale this across your organization without the right partnerships in place. And so actually, Nick, on the next slide, I have a visual that we sometimes use at Forrester to talk about um, how you leverage the power of people in your organization to scale your design system. So having a design systems team, that's the first thing you see on the left. People dedicated to growing and to managing this thing, to putting all the processes in place we talked about earlier, the metrics, et cetera. That's the first element. The product teams. And when I say product, I mean product managers, designers, engineers, everyone who's part of that team. They're very critical. There has to be a kind of cyclical model in place where the design systems team is, pushing out updates to the product teams, communicating, onboarding them in terms of how to get started with the design system, providing that support through, design office hours or Slack channels or whatever your preferred method may be. But there has to be a cycle back from the product team as well, where they're providing that feedback, those ideas, those contributions. One model that we've seen work really well, and you see this depicted on the right side of the slide, is to have someone within each of those product teams. Kind of goes to like the federated or design model concept, but you have someone within each of those product teams who's really a champion for the design system. They're there day to day on the ground, answering the questions that come up. They're the ones being like, hey, before you do that, we probably have a component for that. Let's go check the design system, right? So constantly bringing it front of mind. This person also is often responsible for taking usability test findings that are being gathered within the product teams and taking those back to the design systems teams and being like, hey, look at what we learned. We need to make sure this is, rolled into the next iteration of these components because these user insights are really important. So you see how it starts. It's not just up to one team of people to scale the design system. You need to start to think about putting this overall structure in place. And then very important, you see this at the top, is having executive support. I have seen design systems sometimes start out as very grassroots efforts, like 20% of a designer's time trying to sell and evangelize this thing. But if you don't eventually get the top-down support, what's going to happen is you'll approach that product team that's not using the design system yet. You'll start talking about it, and they'll immediately say, whoa, wait a minute, I have so many things on my roadmap. Now you're telling me I need to bring my product in line with all these standards you've created. Like, no way, I don't have time to do it. And so having that top-down leadership support where they're telling everyone, look, this is important for creating consistent CX, for getting products to market faster, et cetera, that's going to be really powerful in terms of ensuring that those managers and those directors leading those product teams are coming on board. So you have to have that executive champions as well.